Hi, in this video we'll be covering a list of 7 video games that goes beyond just surface level entertainment and instead provides an enriching and unforgettable experience that stays with you long after playing. I tried to cover a relatively broad set of genres and styles, but if there are any games that are significant to you, then feel free to let me know in the comments. And the first entry is The Last of Us. There are technically 2 games in this franchise and even a relatively recent TV series closely based on the games. Set in an apocalyptic world where survival comes at a cost, you are taken on a journey with Joel and Ellie where things are often bleak, frightening and complex. Sprinkled in between this though is a story of love, loss and hope. Very few games warrant the statement masterpiece, but this is definitely one of those rare occasions where not one but both of these installments easily justify this point. I have to say, even the series is pretty decent and does the game justice. Perhaps that's the most controversial thing I've said so far, but with a high rating on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes, it seems that many people would agree. What I like in particular about the games though is the subtlety of the characters. In a world far from subtle, it's these little details and micro expressions that really bring both the characters and games to life. Number 2 is Life is Strange. This game offers an episodic adventure that delves into the life of Max Caulfield, a teenager with the ability to rewind time. It brilliantly combines supernatural elements with the relatable issues such as friendship, bullying, and the agony of choice. Initially, when you realise you have the ability to wind the clock back and undo the decisions you're not content with, it might seem that there can't be a real sense of consequence. The truth is far from this though, and living with the decisions that you made without knowing the longer term impacts reminds me of movies such as The Butterfly Effect and even to some extent the Netflix TV series Dark. After playing this game, what will likely stay with you is the deep emotional impact, engaging narrative, and the ripple effect of your own decisions. If you're someone who prefers dynamic and emotional stories rather than a tough gameplay challenge, then this one might be for you. The next entry in the list is Mass Effect. This epic space odyssey trilogy allows players to explore the galaxy and a mission with galactic scale stakes. You play as Commander Shepard, a human who finds himself in a position of massive responsibility, and in order to better your odds, you must befriend many alien species, defeat menacing foes, and venture into the unknown. Once again, this is one of those games that can go in one of many directions depending on your choices, relationships, and style of play. Over the 3 games, you maintain a single continuous storyline. You import your save games across each entry so that the decisions that you make in the first game can potentially impact the results and ending you get in the third game. I think what makes this series really stand out is the overall memorable experience and in particular the characters, which by the end of the trilogy, it genuinely feels like you've made long-term friendships. And the next entry is Minecraft. Now this is the kind of game that will either have you rolling your eyes or smiling with glee. But what's not in doubt is the game's limitless potential. Quite literally, it's an infinite map, or at least it goes as far as your graphics card will allow. The game might not be everyone's cup of tea, but there are very few experiences out there that will allow your creativity and imagination to run wild like this one. Many famous YouTubers initially made it big by streaming Minecraft, which is now the top grossing video game of all time. You only have to look on YouTube to see the incredible ideas that people have built in Minecraft, from castles and massive structures to even a real computer, and someone else has made a working version of Pokemon Red. Along with the massive community and boundless potential, it even stimulates your survival instinct if that's your kind of thing. And the 5th entry in this list is Detroit Become Human. This is probably one of the most cinematic gaming experiences I've ever witnessed. Very little of the emphasis is on gameplay mechanics. Instead, and similar to Life is Strange, players have to grapple with decision making and branching storylines. Quite literally, the game has several different endings depending on the choices you make for each of the 3 main characters you control. Set in a near future city, you'll never guess which one, inhabited by humans and androids, it explores themes of consciousness, freedom, and what it means to be alive. The game was originally released for PS4, but still has some of the most impressive visuals I've seen. And the 6th entry on this list is The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. If you've never heard or played Skyrim, I've got a little assignment for you. Think of it like homework. This iconic RPG open world fantasy game has so much depth and substance and even stands strong today despite coming out back in 2011. The world of Skyrim is rich with history, culture and numerous adventures. As the Dragonborn, you are thrust into a civil war and a battle against dragons to save the world. Although there is a primary storyline or quest, the game is filled with many optional side quests which shapes your journey and adds huge variety and replayability. There are also several decent DLCs, one of which allows you to choose to become a vampire lord and the other allows you to customize and build your own home. And the last entry from this list is Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic, or sometimes known as KOTOR. I usually find that this is one of those games that either has had a massive impact on you or you completely missed. It's not an overstatement to say that those who discovered this game often say it's one of their favourites, and that is also the case for me. Set thousands of years before the events of the movie and the rise of the Galactic Empire, you start off on board a small vessel being attacked by the Sith. Then the game introduces you to the world in a typical RPG fashion and eventually takes you on a journey with a rich lore and several unexpected directions. In my opinion, this is the finest story that the Star Wars universe has produced, even if there is some debate as to whether it is canon. At the time of recording this video, there is actually a remake in the works which I'm very excited about, but there have been some hiccups around its production, but if you're curious, I'd highly recommend checking out the original version. It may be slightly rusty now in terms of graphics, but the story and character development outshines any of the movies in my opinion. If the remake does well, I can see a world in which TV series spin-offs start to get signed off, because this version of Star Wars is an untapped goldmine.